Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to know whether am I audible so that we can start up with the session. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to know whether. Please do respond so that we can start up with the session. Okay, fine. So this is one of the important sample paper of class 10 CBSE for term 1. We'll be discussing this sample paper into two parts. The first part will contain 20 MCQs and the remaining second part will be all about case study questions. So without wasting time, we'll proceed with some of the important questions. Okay. So the very first question, as you can see it on the screen, is lead plus copper chloride gives lead chloride plus copper. So the above reaction is an example of, the reactions, the chemical reactions are categorized into important 5 types. So the above reaction, which you can see it on the screen, is an example of A. Combination, B. Double displacement, C. Decomposition, or D. Displacement reaction. Fine, very good. It's an example of displacement reaction. And why displacement, students? Because single element is displacing the salt solution, or the more reactive element is displacing the less reactive element from its salt solution. Moving ahead to the next question. When green colored ferrous sulfate crystals are heated, the color of the crystal changes because there are 4 options. When we are heating the ferrous sulfate crystals, we know that the color of the ferrous sulfate crystals is green. And when they are heated, the color of the crystal changes. What is the reason behind the change in the color? The change in the color is because A. It is decomposed to ferric oxide. B. It loses water of crystallization. C. It forms sulfur dioxide. Or D. It forms sulfur trioxide. What is the reason? Yes, the correct reason is it loses water of crystallization. I hope it's very well clear that the formula of ferrous sulfate is ferrous sulfate heptahydrate, which is responsible for the green color. On heating, what happens? These 7 molecules which are combined gets heated up or evaporated, and left behind is the ferrous sulfate, which loses its color. So the correct answer, which is given by you all, is correct. That is it loses water of crystallization. Moving ahead, as you can see, these are the 5 types of reactions which you all know. Combination, when 2 elements combine to form a single compound. Decomposition, when a compound is decomposed into 2 different elements. Single replacement is also termed as displacement reaction, when more reactive element is displacing less reactive element. Double displacement reaction is the one in which exchange of ions takes place and we get 2 different products. And yes, the next could be the combustion reaction as well, where any of the molecule or any of the compound is heated in the presence of oxygen. And what are the products? Carbon dioxide, water, and heat as well. So combustion reaction can also be termed as what? Exothermic reaction, because it is responsible in the formation of heat. Moving ahead to the next question. Which activity can the student classify as a chemical change? Which activity can be classified as the chemical change? So the 4 options which you can see are baking a cake in an oven, or the next, cutting an apple pie into slices, crushing the can after drinking a soda, carving a wooden log to make a stand. So which of the following is the chemical change? First of all, in activity 1, as the properties of the substances in the mixture change. Activity 2, as the physical state of the apple pie changes when cut. Activity 3 as the shape of the can changes, or activity 4 as the shape and the size of the wooden log changes. See, if the question is talking about the chemical change, what are the chemical change? These are irreversible changes and the cases in which new substance with new properties is formed. So yes, the only single situation is baking a cake in an oven. When we do so, what happens? The new substance formed, जो भी नया substance बनता है उसकी जो properties होती है वो entirely change होती हैं उसके पहले की properties से, तो उसे ही हम chemical change कहते हैं when the properties of the substance in the mixture changes. So the correct option is A and correctly answered by many. Good. Moving ahead to the next one. Sodium and chlorine are reacted, and as a result, sodium chloride is formed, which is called table salt. What option gives the reactant and products of the reaction? Okay, there are 4 options in front of you all. Now you need to tell in which case the correct reactants and products are given to you. What are reactants, students? Reactants are the substances which are taking part in the reaction. And what are the products? Which is formed as a result of reactants. तो जो मिल रहा है वो हमारे reactants है, जो बन रहे हैं वो हमारे products हैं. तो इसमें बात कर रहे हैं हम सोडियम एंड क्लोरीन आर रिएक्टेड. क्लियरली मेंशन है सोडियम और क्लोरीन. तो हमारे रिएक्टेंट्स क्या हो गए? सोडियम और क्लोरीन. और प्रोडक्ट क्या बन रहा है? सोडियम क्लोराइड, दैट इज NaCl. We can even write the reaction Na plus what? Yes, Cl2 gives us NaCl. We can further balance it as per the question. So the substances which are reacting, that is sodium and chlorine, are the reactants, whereas NaCl formed is the product. So this is the desired reaction. Moving ahead to the next one. Now, during the preparation of hydrogen chloride gas on a humid day, the gas is usually passed through the guard tube containing calcium chloride. The role of the calcium chloride taken in the guard tube is to A. Absorb the evolved gas, B. Moisten the gas, C. Absorbs moisture from the gas, or D. Absorb chloride ion from the evolved gas. Be careful. क्या बोल रहे हैं? जब हम हाइड्रोजन क्लोराइड गैस को बनाते हैं, ये आपको जो सेटअप दिख रहा है एक फिगर में, ये हाइड्रोजन क्लोराइड गैस को बनाने का है. HCl एक गैस की फॉर्म में भी यूज़ होती है. अब ये गैस को हम पास करते हैं गार्ड ट्यूब से. जो गार्ड ट्यूब से पास हुई, उस गार्ड ट्यूब में है कैल्शियम क्लोराइड. अब जो गार्ड ट्यूब में कैल्शियम क्लोराइड है, उनका फंक्शन क्या है? तो बेसिकली किसी भी क्वेश्चन में अगर कैल्शियम क्लोराइड का फंक्शन पूछते हैं, या फिर इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में जैसा आपको सेटअप दिख रहा है, तो कैल्शियम क्लोराइड का फंक्शन होता है एब्जॉर्ब करना मॉइस्चर को गैस से. सो द करेक्ट आंसर इज एब्जॉर्ब मॉइस्चर फ्रॉम द गैस. The new points which you will find after discussing these MCQs or during the case studies, kindly mark them and write it in your notes, because these important things just get slipped while learning or while revising during the exam. So do make up a piece of paper, do make the notes and write some important points. For example, calcium chloride is used to absorb moisture from the gas. Though it is not a part of your NCERT, it is not mentioned somewhere in your NCERT, but it is different. So you need to be careful while doing these type of questions. Next, again the reaction is given to you. That is, a student writes the chemical equation of the reaction between lead and copper chloride. The reaction is stated as you can see. Which option explains the reason for the formation of lead chloride? So now 4 options are given to you. Which option is correctly explaining the reason for the product formation, lead chloride formation? So A, lead is less reactive than the copper. Lead is less reactive than copper. B, lead and copper are equally reactive. C, copper is more reactive than lead. And D, lead is more reactive than copper. So out of these 4, which is correctly explaining the situation? The very first question which we discussed in the sample paper was of displacement reaction, and I even showed you it is also termed as replacement reaction. So if we are talking about displacement reaction which is occurring in this particular reaction, what happens? We have two metals. Which two metals we are having? We are having lead and copper. So out of these two, which is more reactive? If you have learned the reactivity series properly, you can easily get up to know which is more reactive. So yes, comment which is more reactive, lead or copper? Yes, lead is more reactive than copper. And since lead is more reactive than copper, that's why the chlorine ion gets combined with lead. तो डिस्प्लेसमेंट रिएक्शन कहती क्या है कि मोर रिएक्टिव एलिमेंट डिस्प्लेस कर देगा लेस रिएक्टिव एलिमेंट को उसके सॉल्यूशन से. तो क्योंकि लेड रिएक्टिव था तो लेड ने क्लोराइड से कंबाइन कर लिया और कॉपर को रिप्लेस कर दिया. सो दिस इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन, दैट लेड इज मोर रिएक्टिव देन copper. Further, the next question is, a student adds an equal amount of copper sulfate solution into two beakers. Now we have two beakers and the student added equal amount of copper sulfate solution in both of them. He adds zinc in beaker P and silver in beaker Q. The student observes the color of the solution in the beaker P changes while the change is observed in the beaker Q. What the student observed? I repeat again. The student observed that the color of the solution in the beaker P changes. जो color था B solution में change हो गया और beaker Q में कोई change observe नहीं हुआ. Now, which option arranges the metal in increasing order of reactivity? Now you have four options. Which is correctly indicating the increasing order of reactivity? Think. If you have learned the reactivity series, it's again increasing. Increasing order सबसे पहले आपको समझने की ज़रूरत है. Many students get confused between the word increasing and decreasing. Increasing मतलब सबसे छोटा सबसे पहले होता है. अब इसमें reactivity की बात कर रहे तो जो सबसे कम reactive है वो सबसे पहले आएगा, सबसे ज़्यादा reactive सबसे लास्ट में आएगा. तो yes, if you all have learned the reactivity series, correct, very well, students. So the least reactive among them is silver, followed by copper and followed by zinc. So C is the correct option among the following. Though see, the question was so confusing that you couldn't get what the question is asking, but the options are so simple. The only thing this paper maker wants to know is that whether you are aware of the reactivity series or not and which is the correct order of reactivity. So please be aware. And many students will mark it as B because they are not clear with the word increasing. सबसे कम reactive सबसे पहले आएगा, सबसे ज़्यादा reactive सबसे last में. Be careful with this question. Proceeding to the next one. Okay. Now, a student learns that sodium and magnesium reacts with chlorine to form sodium chloride and magnesium chloride as shown below. So two reactions are given to you where sodium is reacting with chlorine and giving you sodium chloride, and when magnesium is reacting with chlorine it is giving you magnesium chloride. The melting point of sodium chloride is 1074 Kelvin while the melting point of magnesium chloride is 981 Kelvin. Why does sodium chloride and magnesium chloride have difference in melting point? Now, see, you need to tell why do they have difference in the melting points. A, sodium chloride is formed by combining with one molecule of chlorine. Is this the reason for the difference in their melting points? B, magnesium chloride is formed by combining only one molecule of magnesium. C, sodium chloride has strong interionic bonding than magnesium chloride. Or D, magnesium chloride is soluble in kerosene and petrol. So, yeah. Fine. Good students. The correct answer is sodium chloride has strong interionic bonding than magnesium chloride. And this is just because of the ionic bonding between them. They have so high melting points. So sodium chloride has further strong ionic bonding than magnesium chloride, though both are ionic compounds. The, uh, the compounds which are made up of ionic bonds are termed as ionic compounds, and comparatively they have very high melting and boiling point than the covalent compounds. Proceeding to the next question. Okay. A student makes an electric circuit using an LED, a battery, and connecting wires. Battery, bulb, beaker, distilled water. All these things are necessary and used up in the formation. The student notices that LED does not glow. He replaces the distilled water with a salt solution and observed that LED glows. How does the salt solution help the LED to glow? Why the salt solution is responsible for LED to be glowed? So A, salt solution is covalent in nature and conducts electricity. Is that the reason? B, salt solution has a high boiling point which allows the flow of current in the circuit without getting hot. C, salt solution has a low melting point which allows the current to flow. Or D, salt solution contains ions which makes it conductive and allows the electricity to flow through it. तो अगर आपको पूछा जा रहा है दैट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्शन, अगर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी या करंट या फिर कोई भी चीज़ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट कर पाती है, it must contain, the very important thing is ions. It must have ions. And what are ions, students? What are ions? Charged species. किसी भी स्पीशीज पे, किसी भी चीज़ पर अगर चार्ज है, चार्ज चाहे पॉजिटिव हो चाहे नेगेटिव हो, वो स्पीशीज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट और करंट को कंडक्ट कर सकती है. अब इसके ऑप्शंस देखो. क्या सॉल्ट सॉल्यूशन कोवेलेंट इन नेचर है इसलिए इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट कर रहा है? नहीं. कोवेलेंट कंपाउंड्स इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को कंडक्ट नहीं कर पाते हैं क्योंकि वो आयंस में नहीं टूटते हैं. जो भी आयोनिक कंपाउंड है, जैसे अभी हमने बात करी थी NaCl की, NaCl splits up into two things. And what are those two ions? That is Na positive and Cl negative. These are the two respective ions. And since the ions have been formed, it is responsible for the conduction of electricity. So the correct option is the D one. Salt solution contains ions which makes it conductive and allows the electricity to flow through it. Moving ahead to the next one. Yes, now coming to the life processes. The kidney in human beings are a part of the system for. Oh, very easy question. All the four life processes are given to you. What are the four life processes? Yes, nutrition, respiration, excretion, and transportation. Kidneys are present in or are a part of which of the system? Yes, kidneys are an important part of excretory system. So the correct answer would be excretion. Next, the xylem in the plants are responsible for. जो xylem है plants में, उसका काम क्या है? A, it is responsible for the transport of water. B, food. C, amino acids. Or D, oxygen. The xylem is responsible for which of the following? Transport of water, food, amino acids, or oxygen. Be careful. See, if we talk about plants, in plants there are two types of conductive tissues. And what are the two types of conductive tissues? Can anyone tell me? The two conductive tissues are entirely responsible for the transportation. And what are they? First and second. I want the names. Yes, the two names are, hurry up. One is xylem and another is phloem. So xylem and phloem are responsible for the conduction and in specially or conduction or transportation in plants. Xylem is responsible for the conduction of water and minerals, whereas phloem is responsible for the conduction of food. So now, as the question says, the xylem in plants is responsible for what? Transport of water. And which, if we talk about which conductive tissue is responsible for the transportation of food, the correct option would be phloem. So over here, the correct answer is transport of water. Moving ahead to the next one. Okay, the breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water and energy takes place in. Now, आपको बताना है pyruvate breakdown हो रहा है and it is giving carbon dioxide, water and energy. This process is occurring in A. Cytoplasm, B. Mitochondria, or C. Chloroplast, or the D. Nucleus. Where is this process taking place? Pyruvate का breakdown cytoplasm में, mitochondria, chloroplast, nucleus. देखिए, you need to be very well aware that what is the term first of all pyruvate. The food which we eat is C6H12O6, that is our glucose. And this glucose in cytoplasm of the cell breaks into the 3 carbon molecule. जब food break down हो रहा है तो 6 carbon molecule 3 कार्बन मॉलिक्यूल में ब्रेक डाउन हो जाता है और इस 3 कार्बन मॉलिक्यूल को हम बोलते हैं पायरुवेट. वी टर्म इट एज पायरुवेट. सो द क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग अब पायरुवेट जहाँ पे ब्रेक हो रहा है, पायरुवेट अलग अलग 3 सिचुएशंस होती हैं डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द अमाउंट ऑफ ऑक्सीजन टू यू रिसीव. If you have enough amount of oxygen, pyruvate breaks in mitochondria. If you have lack of oxygen, it breaks in muscle cells. And if you have absence of oxygen or no oxygen is present, then it breaks in or occurs in yeast cells. So now they are saying the breakdown of pyruvate. Carbon dioxide, water and energy are the product when the pyruvate breaks in mitochondria. So, the breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water and energy takes place in mitochondria. Moving ahead to the next. The main function of the ureters is to. Now, I hope you all are aware what are ureters. These are the 2 tube-like structures which are joining the kidneys. And what is their function? They are joined to each of the 2 kidneys. So, if we talk about the function, what is their function? Their function is to, yes, take urine from kidney to the storage organ, and that storage organ is what? That is the urinary bladder. So this is the function of the ureters, and that is they take urine from kidney to the urinary bladder. Moving ahead to the next one. Very good. Now, be careful while solving. It connects the part of excretory system cannot be the answer. It is not connecting all the parts first of all. Be aware. It is responsible from just collecting the urine from kidney to the urinary bladder. It's just a passage between these two, not between the parts of the excretory system or all the parts. So be aware of all the options given to you. Be clear, precise while solving the MCQs. Okay. Alveoli are located at the end of. Now, alveoli. What are alveoli? These are balloon-like structures which are located at the end of bronchi or heart, lungs, and the last option is bronchioles. Be careful and let me know. See, if we are talking about, this is the windpipe. If I'm talking, the windpipe divides into 2. These 2 are termed as bronchi. Further, the bronchi divides into different smaller tubes termed as bronchioles. And at last, the bronchioles divide into balloon-like structures called alveoli. So, windpipe then divides into 2 bronchi, and bronchi further divides into smaller bronchioles. So, alveoli are located at the end of bronchioles. correctly opted by many. Proceeding to the next, which is a problem. Now, light is considered as a problematic chapter when it is coming to the MCQs. Be careful with some of the ray diagrams and the basics, and then it is the easiest. You cannot make mistake. Fine. If the magnification of the lens has a positive value, the image is. अगर magnification positive होती है, then you need to tell image. What will be the image? The image will be real or virtual and erect or inverted or none of these. कैसी हमारी image होती है जब magnification positive होती है? It is fixed whether it is lens or it is a mirror. If magnification is positive, the image will be virtual and erect. Perfect. This is very important. Now, tell me one more thing I would like to share with you. If magnification is +2, tell me about the size as well. Plus denotes what? We have recently discussed that the plus denotes it is virtual and erect. Now, if I'm adding 2 as well, what does the 2 denotes? That whether the size of the image is diminished or enlarged. Hurry up. Okay, enlarged. So if the magnification is given as +2, what we will infer from it? We'll infer that the image is virtual, erect and enlarged. Okay, now if I'll say if the magnification is -0.2, now what you could conclude from this particular question? -0.2. Tell me about the nature and the size of the image if magnification is 0.2. माइनस है तो कैसी आपकी नेचर होगी? Okay, diminished could be considered as a size. If I'll talk about the nature, yes, the nature would be what? Real and inverted. So just looking at the magnification, you can tell about the two things, that is the nature and the size. Nature could be virtual erect or real inverted, and the size is whether they are diminished or enlarged. Proceeding to the next question. Now, this is the question you need to ponder upon. An object is placed at 100 millimeter in front of a concave mirror, which produces upright image. Upright means erect. आपको पता होना चाहिए upright का मतलब भी erect ही है. The radius of curvature of the mirror is. Think. Proper time is given to you just to think what the question is saying and what could be the answer. Proceed. A, whether it would be less than 100 millimeter. B, between 100 and 200 millimeter. C, it's exactly 200 millimeter. Or D, it is more than 200 millimeter. Hurry up, hurry up. Yes. Be careful that they are talking about the concave mirror. And they are talking about the radius of curvature. See, they are saying that the image formed is erect. And in this case, the object must be placed. First of all, you need to think that where is the object placed so that you can get the correct answer. See, if we'll talk about this particular question, if I'm talking about the concave mirror, if we are dealing with the concave mirror, concave mirror is responsible for giving inverted images. Now, if this is the pole, this is the focus, and this is the center of curvature. And if I'm talking in this case, the object will be placed in between principal focus and pole. Why? Because this is the only situation in the entire ray diagrams that the image is virtual and erect. अगर आप कॉन्केव मिरर की रे डायग्राम्स पढ़ चुके हैं तो आपको क्लियर होगा कॉन्केव मिरर के सारे रे डायग्राम्स आपको जो इमेज देते हैं वो रियल और इन्वर्टेड देते हैं. सिर्फ एक ही ऐसा केस होता है जिसमें वो बिटवीन फोकस और पोल होती है कि वो इरेक्ट इमेज देते हैं. और आपको पता है कि रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर क्या होता है? ट्वाइस द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द फोकस एंड द पोल. अब क्योंकि ऑब्जेक्ट 100 मिलीमीटर इन फ्रंट है, वो बोल रहे हैं यहाँ पे, चलो सपोज करते हैं ऑब्जेक्ट 100 मिलीमीटर इन फ्रंट है. अगर ये हमारा 100 मिलीमीटर है तो ऑब्वियसली है फोकस से पहले का ही डिस्टेंस 100 मिलीमीटर है. तो जो क्योंकि हमें एग्जैक्ट फोकस का डिस्टेंस नहीं दे रखा, हमें पता है कि रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर ट्वाइस ऑफ फोकस होती है. अगर हमें बोल दिया होता कि फोकस का डिस्टेंस इतना है तो हम प्रिडिक्ट कर लेते. क्योंकि अब यही 100 है, पोल से फोकस तक का डिस्टेंस 100 से भी ज़्यादा है, तो रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर क्या होगी? इट विल बी ग्रेटर देन 200. क्योंकि इतना डिस्टेंस ही 100 से ज़्यादा है जो ऑब्जेक्ट और इसके बीच में है, पोल के बीच में. तो अगर हम सेंटर ऑफ कर्वेचर की बात करेंगे, पोल से सेंटर ऑफ कर्वेचर तक का डिस्टेंस ही हमारा रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर होता है. तो ये रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर का अगर हम एजम्पशन लगाएंगे तो व्हाट विल बी द एजम्पशन? Yes, the correct assumption will be that it would be more than 200 millimeter. Is it clear to you all? I hope it's clear. It's an important question. Okay. Correctly answered by many. Further, moving ahead to the next question, an object is placed at a distance of 30 centimeter from a concave mirror to get its image at the same point. Again, see, now the question has been changed. It's an easy to question. अब ऑब्जेक्ट का डिस्टेंस आपको दे रखा है मिरर से 30 सेंटीमीटर है, तो ऑब्जेक्ट डिस्टेंस से 30, आपको बोला हुआ है कि जो इमेज है वो भी 30 पर ही बन रही है. आपको फोकल लेंथ बतानी है. Okay, so this is again interesting question. आपको ध्यान से बात सुननी है और समझना है. Then we could get up the answer. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute so that you can conclude up and let me know the answer. Very good, perfect students. Speeding up in the right path. Okay, many are answering it as -15. Good. See, this is a very simple question if you are clear with it. If we are talking about the concave mirror में students एक ही ऐसा केस होता है. Again, I am drawing pole, focus and center of curvature. Question में clearly बोला हुआ है कि ऑब्जेक्ट जो है अगर 30 सेंटीमीटर पर है, 30 सेंटीमीटर पर है, तो इमेज भी 30 सेंटीमीटर पर बन रही है, ऐसा भी क्वेश्चन में स्टेटेड है. तो हमें पता है ये एक ही सिचुएशन होती है कॉन्केव मिरर में, जब ऑब्जेक्ट भी 30 सेंटीमीटर पर है तो इमेज भी 30 सेंटीमीटर पर होगी. मतलब ऑब्जेक्ट है कहाँ पर? ऑब्जेक्ट इज एट सेंटर ऑफ कर्वेचर. सिर्फ एक ही ऐसा केस है कॉन्केव मिरर में जहाँ पर ऑब्जेक्ट और इमेज सेम पॉइंट पर बनते हैं. बट आप देख सकते हैं इमेज क्या बन रही है? इन्वर्टेड, अपोजिट बन रही है, सेम नहीं बनती है. तो अब इमेज भी कहाँ पे बन रही है? 30. दैट मीन्स आपसे पूछा गया है क्वेश्चन में फोकल लेंथ बताइए. अब आपको बताया था मैंने अभी, पोल से सेंटर ऑफ कर्वेचर तक के डिस्टेंस को हम बोलते हैं रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर. दैट मीन्स आपको रेडियस ऑफ कर्वेचर कितना गिवन है? 30. फोकल लेंथ कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं? r/2. फोकल लेंथ जस्ट हाफ होती है. 30/2 विल गिव यू व्हाट? विल गिव यू 15. सो द distance of the focal length will be 15. Now, there are two options which have given you the answer as 15. The C1 was -15 and the D is +15. अब जब C -15 है, D +15 है, तो करेक्ट ऑप्शन हमने -15 को क्यों चूज करा? क्योंकि -15 इंडिकेट्स रियल एंड इन्वर्टेड, और आप भी देख सकते हैं कि हमारी इमेज डाउनवर्ड बनी है, इन्वर्टेड बनी है. So that is the correct answer of this question is C, that is -15. Perfect, students. Moving ahead to the next one. Okay. The refractive index of water is 1.33. The speed of the light in water will be. Now, they have given you the refractive index. You need to calculate the speed of light in water. I hope you are very well clear with the formula of refractive index. The formula of refractive index would be what? Refractive index, one of the formula is speed of light in vacuum upon speed of light in medium. Refractive index is already given to you, and you know the speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. You need to calculate V. So how can you calculate V? That is the speed of light in water. You need to divide 3 into 10 to the power 8 with the refractive index. Calculate and check it out which is the correct option suiting to you in the question. So proceed and tell me which is the correct option. A 1.33 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. B 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. C 2.26 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, or 2.66 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Be careful while solving. Perfect. It's C. The correct answer given by again many, that is C, that is 2.26 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. The next question. A student conducts an activity using a flask of height 15 centimeter and a concave mirror. He finds that the image formed is 45 centimeter in height. Okay. फ्लास्क की हाइट पहले कितनी थी? 15 सेंटीमीटर. जब इमेज ऑब्जर्व करी तो इमेज हो गई 45 सेंटीमीटर. व्हाट इज द मैग्निफिकेशन ऑफ इमेज? वेरी इजी क्वेश्चन, सिंपली अ ट्विस्टेड वन. आपको जब ऑब्जेक्ट दिया है कॉनकेव मिरर के साथ तो वो 15 सेंटीमीटर का था. जब आपने इमेज ऑब्जर्व करी तो वो 45 सेंटीमीटर की हो गई. तो आपकी मैग्निफिकेशन कितनी होगी? देखिए, अब आपको पहले ही क्लियर होगा कि हाइट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट कितनी है. हाइट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट है हमारी 15 और हाइट ऑफ इमेज क्या आ रही है हमारी 45. जब हाइट ऑफ इमेज, व्हेन हाइट ऑफ इमेज इज ग्रेटर देन द हाइट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट, it's a case of yes that the image is enlarged. अब जब साइज बढ़ गया है तो 1/3 और -1/3 का तो मतलब ही नहीं है. बच्चा -3 टाइम्स और 3 टाइम्स. अब हम माइनस और प्लस कैसे डिसाइड करेंगे इस क्वेश्चन में? आपने अपने फ्लास्क को देखा तो फ्लास्क आपको कैसे दिख रहा है? उसने बोला नहीं है आपको फ्लास्क इन्वर्टेड दिख रहा है, आपको फ्लास्क वर्चुअल और इरेक्ट दिख रहा है. तो द करेक्ट आंसर ऑफ दिस इज yes, very good, D, that is 3 times. Moving ahead to the last one. A student studies that when a ray diagram or when a ray of light travels from air into the glass slab, the ray of light bends towards the normal. But as the refracted ray emerges out of the glass slab to the vacuum, it bends away from the normal, as you can see it in the figure. Which option explains the law of refraction? Okay, you have the 4 options. Which option is correctly explaining? A, light always bends towards the normal in the glass slab. B, ray of light traveling in the air is always considered as incident ray and the one in the glass is the refracted ray. It is not fixed, students. See, as the situation can get reversed. C, the incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal to the interface always lie on the same plane. Or the D, ray of light always travels in the straight path irrespective of the change in the medium. Think which is the correct explanation or which is the correct law of the refraction out of the four. So someone is confused between D and C. You have to choose one in the paper. See, in the case of refraction, the ray cannot travel in the straight path. When it is passing through the different medium, the path will be changed, the density will be changed, so they cannot travel in the straight. Yes, very good. The correct option is the C1, that is the incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal to the interference always lie on the same plane. Great. So this was the last question for today's session. We will be meeting up in the next session. Till then, bye bye. Have a good time. Keep on doing hard work, and please, self-belief and hard work will always earn you to the success. Share the video. Do like and subscribe the video and the channel as well. Thank you, students. Have a good day.